Hey everyone, Jeff Pyle with Farmobile here today, and I just wanted to go through and talk a little bit about some introduction pieces of Farmobile. We'll talk about a few things from the hardware all the way through the actual Farmobile DataEngine account that users will have, and then even getting into a little bit on data out to kind of showcase what happens with that data once it has the opportunity to leave the system as well too. So we'll go ahead and get started here and take a quick look at the first thing that we'll dive into, which is going to be the actual puck itself. So inside of the every subscription, our users will receive what's called the Farmobile PUC device. And so this is a universal device that sits in the cab of any agricultural piece of machinery. You'll see that there's different ports on here that allows the device to actually be able to connect up into the machine from multiple different interfaces here. So basically, whenever we sit down with a customer and understand what data they're trying to collect, what they're interested in collecting from an activity perspective, if that's planting, spraying, spreading, harvest, or just a device that sits in a truck for navigation purposes, then we're actually going to be able to sit down and understand what cabling they need as well too. So for example, in this case, this is going to come along with our standard cable, which is pretty generic and with a 9-pin diagnostic port that plugs into the diagnostic port on many machines, and then this will actually plug into the puck itself. And then also there'll be the actual antenna as well too. So this is something that the puck comes along with its own GPS and cellular. It's out of the box ready. It creates an opportunity for growers to be able to kind of get an introduction into precision agriculture if they've never had an opportunity to put GPS on a machine or anything like that. So right out of the box, it's ready to go, and it's tied into the customer's account. Basically, you'll see two ports here because there's also an opportunity for us to connect into other CAN systems as well too. So if there's any aftermarket providers that a customer would like to collect data for or anything else, it gives us an opportunity to have just other physical connections into the machine. So again, this is our 4th generation device. It has been released in late part of 2018. And as we go through, basically whenever this plugs in, the key is turned on a machine. If that's a spreader, sprayer, planter, or harvester or other piece of equipment, basically that data is going to go ahead and go into what we call our Farmobile DataEngine account here. So what we're going to kind of take a look at here next is going to be the actual we're going to put on our farmer hat and take a look at what planting looks like here. So we're going to take a look at that data. Whenever it's coming out of the puck, it's coming out second by second. And what's happening is that it is actually flowing into the customer's account. So like I said, whenever the Farmobile puck turns on, it connects up to Farmobile's database, and it'll go ahead and start streaming in this data. And so this is what we call real-time data, in a sense that it's sending those packets up second by second and creating an opportunity for a real-time view for our customers here. So right now in our demo environment, I do only have the planter rolling, but you'll see that if they have a harvester or if a grower has their own sprayer, then that data will come across here as well too. And so basically whenever we are showing this view, the reason why it's showing planting is that whenever the puck is connected up to the machine, we're receiving planting messages. And so that's kind of our trigger indicator to go ahead and denote this as planting. For example, on harvest, if we're receiving mass flow, then that's going to create the trigger that this is a harvest activity. And so that'll make a little bit more sense whenever we take a look at the application a little bit later on here. But what's going to happen is that we're going to showcase if we have multiple machines lit up, they'll showcase right here, and we're going to show just a subset of information. Now what I'm going to do here is this planter is rolling north. I'm going to go ahead and drill into just that particular device. So once this goes ahead and loads, so we connect into many different machine makes and models and monitors. In this case, this particular machine is providing us with the agronomic information of average pop, actual row data sets. And then if we just continue to scroll down here, we'll continue to start see skips and doubles. And so this is coming across again second by second and is streaming in out of the cab and into Farmobile's data engine. So getting that data out of the cab is super important for us. And so that's something that we've focused on at looking at that turnkey efficiency of getting that data into data engine. So that way you can then move into the right hands of wherever that data owner would like it to go. And so from here, you'll next see the next set of data, which is actually machine data. So we are collecting simultaneously not only machine, but or not only agronomic, but machine data as well. So we can see everything that's going on just as if we're in the cab, plus some extra parameters. So what's the engine load? What's the engine torque? Temperature, fuel rate. So understanding what's going on from that machine while just being able to check in on it. And so we're collecting all these data points here, and this is kind of our first view of what we're doing with it. It's probably one of our oldest legacy views here as well too. So once we get done with actually collecting the data, what happens? And so that's where we work with our customers to make sure that they have field boundaries. So you can see here I have an actual field boundary here. We follow the grower farm field format. And once that data is collected here in real time, then I'm going to go ahead and navigate over here to our fields section here where all of my field boundaries are. And so it's going to actually load up my field boundaries and take a look at just where they're at if I want to drill into a certain field and take a look at something. But what we're going to do here next, I'm going to actually look at EFRs. So the electronic field records, or EFRs, are the containers of data that we start to aggregate the data together in. So whenever I take a look at the EFRs, I can see that in this account, I have 61 planting EFRs and 21 harvest EFRs. So again, with this being our demo account, please pay no attention to the worked acres since it's continuing to roll. But once we kind of drill into the planting acres EFR, that kind of filters everything down, so that way the user can quickly build up, in this case, average population maps that are coming across here. And then over here on the left, whenever we take a look at the actual crops and varieties, if our customers provide us with varieties, then those will be populated and aggregated in here as well too. So then that user then has the ability to come in here and take a look at all of their maps loading up right here. But then if they want to drill into a certain commodity or a certain variety and actually pinpoint where those fields are, then they would be able to. So if I take a look at corn, I'm then able to showcase where my corn acres are. And if I want to go back and look at not just corn, but my soybeans, then I can do that accordingly here as well too. So that filter creates the opportunity for the fields to actually filter down to what the customer is looking for in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll back here to, again, back to just the plant side of things. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the 2020 filter. If I want to see what was done the previous day, I can do so. I can take a look at previous day, previous week, or previous month, and it's going to load up the electronic field records that was covered in that time frame that we denoted here. So if I take a look at the previous day, I have 2 fields that were covered, and this allows me to drill into those 2 fields. So again, creating a quick filter so that way we can understand what happened. So this is looking at it again from the farmer view. Whenever we go through, we are now at a new level, not only just looking at EFRs, but now at the actual field itself. So we can take a look at this field and look at the commodity that was planted, the population, but then the next time a machine covers over into this field, we're going to create the next card, which in this case is going to be the harvest card. And so this creates that opportunity for us to go in and aggregate everything together from a machine perspective. And if we have multiple machines in the field, Farmobile is stitching that data together. So that way the next day, then an electronic field record, which in this case only shows 1 puck was in the field, would show 2. So again, looking at a field boundary, they're very important for us to make sure we're focusing on working with our customer, because that's whenever we start to see the power of Farmobile's data engine to kind of come into play, to where we're seeing data stacked on top of each other from an agronomic sense, which is kind of where we started at with Farmobile. But then whenever I come in here and create more pieces of information that may not have been collected through the machine in the live view, but I can come in here and I can edit some things. So if I want to change the soybeans, if I want to actually add in my variety and give them the opportunity to do that, I can. If I did not do it live, I can do it through here. And then again, extra information. So if it had a cover crop on it, or if that was a cover crop, then that's can be denoted there as well. So another thing that's pretty important, this is one thing that we're doing here, is that we're collecting and showing agronomic data, but one thing that's super important is whenever we come in here, and I'm going to click on this ellipsis, and I want to view machine metrics. And this is where the grower can then come in here and look at things from a machine perspective as well too. So again, that's why it's so important that we're collecting the data that's coming off the machine, both agronomic and machine, because this is important information for our growers from our perspective to be able to understand what is happening on the field, not just from an agronomic perspective, but whenever my operators are in the field, whenever I'm in the field, how efficient am I? What's my fuel? What's my working rate? And then it starts to allow our customers to drill into it a little bit more and understanding, well, how efficient is my machine in the field? Maybe my operational practices. If I'm taking a look at harvest, and if I want to go down here and take a look at the machine metrics for this machine, how much am I transporting in the field? How much am I idling in the field? It starts to create the question that someone might have: do I need another a grain cart? Do I have a grain cart? Am I efficient with my operational processes? Is my machine efficient? Do I have an older machine that maybe is showing that it's really inefficient here? And so we're showing this down on a field by field basis. And so that's kind of our basic breakdown of what an electronic field record is going to be for a grower. And so this is looking at both fields that are plant and harvest, and gives us an opportunity to drill into that. And there's some other functionality in here where a grower can come in and take a look at side-by-side views of yield versus the planting rate, so that way they can kind of play around with it here. So and just kind of spend a little bit of time and get to know the data. But a lot of times we're working with customers who are working with trusted advisors who are going to be helping them out with their insights as well too. And so that's where the data out part is going to come in. We'll take a look at that here next, or here at the end. What we're going to take a look at here next, I'm going to actually navigate back to our machines view. And right now I'm underneath the Farmer Demo company, and I want to switch over into another company here. I want to actually switch over into another big customer group that we have, which is ag retail. And so two of the supported activities that we currently have today showing are going to be the spraying activity, crop protection, and then fertility or spreading here. And so one thing as we're going through, again, we're collecting both agronomic and machine data here. So if I take a look at this sprayer that's running down here, we can kind of see a high level view of what's going on. But again, if I want to drill into that particular machine, I can, and I can bring up and understand what the spray rate is. What was the target rate? And just like how we're used to seeing heat maps for agronomic data, you can do that with all these tiles that are on here as well too. So if you want to see what the target rate was and how the actual spray rate was at the time, you can showcase those. Tank level, but then also if we scroll down here, again, if we want to map out the machine torque and understand our machine, maybe there's some nuggets of data that we can better understand whenever we take a look at that, and just better understand that data for our own operation. So again, that's going to do the same thing where we are currently in a field boundary right now, And so at midnight tonight, that's actually going to roll all this data together, aggregate it all together, and create again an electronic field record. So I'm going to navigate back to our fields section. And again, this is kind of an overlay of two different entities. We had our farmer hat on earlier, and now we have our ag retail hat, to where we can come in here and they're covering the same areas of land, except for they're doing different activities. And so this is where Farmobile is really striving to make sure that that trusted advisors are part of a growers network, and sharing data is something that's positive for that farmer. So being able to come in here and be able to see what the farmer has completed, when they planted a field, maybe that's going to be an indicator of when they need to come in with a crop protection plan. But then also if they have completed harvest, being able to come in here and see what fields they've recently harvested, and then maybe they have a fertility plan that they're coming in with afterwards. And so again, that's going to be the same thing on their side, where they can come in here, and if I select an activity, it's going to load up all the electronic field records, all the passes in this machine. And then I'm going to be able to come in and say, well, which ones were done the previous day, the previous week, which fields did we actually complete here? And so again, with demo data, it's not showing here for me, but as we go through, and if individuals inside the backside of the office are wanting to know which fields were covered last week, I can come in here and better understand what happened from just a field coverage perspective. But then I can even come in here, and if I want to drill into a field, I can do so. So that way, if I'm an agronomist, I want to look more details into a field that was covered, I can look at that, look at when it was covered from a spray perspective, but then even down on a spread site as well too. So being able to come in here, understand, I have my different bin rates that are applying product. As I come in here, I get my aggregated totals here. And as I navigate into, I want to see what my other bins are showing here. So if I have different product that was applied based off my different bins, no, those are usually tied to the work order itself, so they're actually able to come back in here and understand what was the actual true applied rate, not just the target, but the actual applied. And so that's where, again, we're trying to increase the transparency, increase this flow of data towards this, to where even the capability is in here now, to where an ag retail member can share this data back to a grower as well too. So we have a lot of customers who are asking for that, just would like to know more details about what happened in the field. And so that's a part of the decisions. So understanding every pass that goes across the field, that's what Farmobile is here to do, is to do our best at collecting those passes and aggregating that data together and presenting it. And so whenever we look at the data that's coming through in EFRs, the last part that I want to go ahead and cover off of collecting spray, spread, plant, and harvest data is then getting that data back out. So we have some integrations that we have to where other companies who are doing business with ag retail members or with growers can set up an integration with us and can get that data piped through an API connection. But then we also have this way, which is open for everybody to come in and come straight to an EFR or to all their fields and click export. And so this is our export that we're going to be able to support out. If we want an aggregate export, which is a summary level of data, basically anything that you see here within the electronic field record cards, that's going to go ahead and showcase up here in this aggregate format. And that's going to come out in a CSV shapefile or GeoJSON format. So that way, if you want the field boundaries, you can and export everything out. You can select that in shapefile or GeoJSON format and be able to collect that. The next thing is going to be the actual point-by-point data, which is going to create the opportunity of those 1-second pulse records that I was referring to on the live view. That's going to come out in this file here next. So if you select the point-by-point, then you're going to get the true point-by-point records of whenever that machine passed through this field. And if anyone is curious about our export schema or our data dictionary, please reach out to us and we'll provide that over to you so that way you understand a little bit more about what the point-by-point data is that you should expect. The third option is the actual boundary export. So if you just need a clean boundary set, you can export that out. You can draw boundaries in here, or if customers already have boundary sets, they can provide those over to us, so that way we'll get them uploaded for them. And then the next thing, we still have a lot of demand for just EFR PDFs. So this view right here cleaned up into an electronic field record PDF, so that way they can print it off and be able to provide it back over to the customer. Again, you can select it down to just a field, or if you would like to roll up to all farms and have everything exported out all at once, then you can select your activities. If I want to go across and say I need to get all my spread reports out, you can select that. You can include machine metric information in there, or you can uncheck that and then export that out. And so once the data gets generated here, it's, basically it takes a little bit to spin this up. It might take 15 minutes to an hour, depending on how big the request is. But once that gets completed, then an email is sent to the user who's currently logged in that the report is ready, and then they'll be able to find it here on the download section here in this left portion of the panel. That is really just a basic introduction about Farmobile, from the PUC view, the actual hardware, how it integrates into two of our bigger customer groups, being a direct farmer group as well as our ag retail group. We have a lot of folks who use our data differently, and so we try and make sure we're flexible enough to support our many different individuals who are our partners and customers, and make sure that we are creating value and a solution for them in their digital data strategy here. So if there's any questions that anyone might have, definitely give us a call, 844-337-2255, and we'll be happy to get you taken care of. You can also connect up with us at support@farmobile.com. So hopefully this was helpful for everyone here today to kind of have a little bit of an understanding of a little bit of an introduction of Farmobile, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch it. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.